Hey everyone, how are you all doing? I did get quite a few things, some of which you've already seen in a couple of videos, like the Game Boy mods and everything, so I'll try to just briefly go over those. But let's get started. First off is a copy of Ridge Racer for the PlayStation. This is the greatest hits version. Picked it up at a local game store. Pretty good price. It came complete. Disc is in good shape. Until now, when I dropped it. But fortunately it didn't get damaged or anything like that. But the disc is in good shape. It looks like it was resurfaced though, but that's okay. I'm actually okay with that because that way I know it works. Came with the manual though, good shape, and basically it's just complete, so I had to pick it up. I did own this game originally when I had the PlayStation, except I had the long box version. Can't seem to find that one anywhere, but at the same time I don't really care if it's the greatest version or not, so I'm not that picky. But on to the next item is package from Amazon, and let's go ahead and take a look and see what's inside. And inside was a box, and as you can see on the label they say game card cases. Let's be a little bit more specific here. These are actually cases for Game Boy game cartridges, and I needed to get some new ones because I ran out of the old ones. These are kind of interesting because they're individually wrapped. Haven't seen that before. The previous ones I got were kind of still stuck together from the molding process. These are just individual. The other thing, and I'm going to show you the comparison here, is the texture on the ones that I bought before are different than the second batch that I got. In fact, the second batch that I got, it resembles a lot more the original ones from Nintendo. Also, these are a little bit easier to open and close. The old ones, I don't know if they were just a little bit too tight, or if the little lip around the edge of the inside of the case was just a little too high, but it was more difficult to open and close. These seem to be a lot better. And the next item I have are these 13-pin DIN connectors. And if you remember a few months back, I picked up an Atari 520 ST. And the video out port on there is a 13-pin DIN connector. So I picked these up because I'm going to try to make a video cable. I also picked up a VGA adapter because I'm going to convert the 13-pin DIN to a 15-pin VGA adapter, and the reason for that is I'm going to try and see if I can get a multi-sync monitor that'll support the low frequency that these older computers supported, 15 or so kilohertz. I think 15.7, I have to double check. But the Atari line of computers that had RGB output supported 15 kilohertz, CGA, and I think EGA also. So I'm going to try and convert all of that. And the next few items I received from eBay as part of various different orders that I placed. Just some little projects that I want to work on and some replacement parts. So we'll see what came in today. First item is a replacement PLA for the C64. If you recall, I was having some issues with the spare part C64 that I picked up, so I picked up a bunch of spare parts for it. Basically, try to test out different things, and here you can see that there's something special about this PLA. It's not a standard PLA, it's basically made with two, I forget the name of the chips, I'll put information on screen, but there's two chips you basically program to replace the original PLA. There's instructions out there to build this kit yourself for free. The chips are available for a few bucks a piece, and you can always order PCBs from different manufacturers. So it's, I saw the review before by several YouTubers, works great as a replacement, and it's just one of the many replacement PLAs that are available out there. Actually, I think I might have already covered this in the previous video, but... And the next item I picked up is a spare VIC-II chip. I figured, you know, I'd give it a shot just in case the VIC-II and the spare parts C64 isn't working for some reason, even though it should be working. You never know. So there's that. And then the next item I picked up is another diagnostic cartridge for the C64. And you've already saw this in a previous video, which I'll link below, so I'm not going to elaborate too much more on this item here. And the next items you've also already seen, so I'll try to go over them quickly, are some spare RAM chips. These are going to be the 200 nanosecond chips that the spare parts C64 already have, just in case there is some compatibility issues with the existing 150 nanosecond ones that I have. And next are these 74 LS257s. These are multiplexing chips that are typically used to control memory in older machines, and you've already seen these in the previous video. The next item is a copy of Destruction Derby 2 for the PlayStation. It is not from the Salvation Army, it is from a local record vintage gaming type store that I've mentioned before in my videos. It's another feature complete game, including manual, case, and the disc is in decent shape too. It's a little dirty. I don't know if this one was resurfaced though. I don't see any of the residue that's usually there, but it looks like it's in good shape, so hopefully it does work out. And the next item that we're going to go over that I picked up is this really large box that can barely fit in the shot here. So I'm going to put it on the floor and open it up so I can take the items out of it and so we can get a better look of what's actually inside. And the first item I'm going to pull out of the box is a Nintendo Wii. Now I already have one of these, of course, but I picked up basically a broken console lot that I wanted to see if I can try and fix, and it had items in there that I don't already have, but it also came with the Wii, but that's fine because I've never actually taken apart a Wii or anything, and this seems to be a first-gen Wii which still has GameCube compatibility because it's got the ports and memory card slots in it. I don't know what's wrong with it. It'll be interesting to see if I can fix it. Next item in the box is an original Xbox. I've never owned one of these before. I did play my best friend's Xbox whenever I went over to visit him in college, but I've never had one myself. Again, I don't know what's wrong with this one. I don't know if it's got a bad hard drive. I don't know if it can read discs or not. I know that there is a common issue with these Xboxes, and that has to do with the RTC capacitor. That's right, I said capacitor, not battery. Microsoft integrated the RTC in the South Bridge, and that requires a little bit more power to be able to maintain the clock than a standard battery does. So they used a supercapacitor, which would have enough capacity in it to be able to keep the time and everything for a few hours in case you lose power or whatever, if you're transporting the Xbox. But they leak, and they can cause some serious damage. So I'm hoping that there isn't much damage in there if that's the issue. I'll have to pick up some controllers for it. I do have an AV cable for it because I've got a multi-purpose AV cable for my PS2 that should also work with this. But I also have to pick up some games because, like I said, I don't have any other way of testing it. Fortunately, it just uses a standard power cable, which I've got a ton of those everywhere. And like I said, I've got an AV cable for it somewhere, but just in case I don't, I'll pick one of those up too. And you may see the sticker on the bottom there. It says refurbished in various different languages, including English. So I don't know if this was refurbished by Microsoft or GameStop or some other game store. So it'll be interesting to see if there's actually anything wrong with it or not, or if it became damaged even after it was refurbished. And the next item in this box is a PS3 Slim. And I've never had a PS3 before either, and I figured it'd be, interesting to take a look at. It is the top-loading one, and I don't know if you can see in the back there or not. Hopefully I'll get a better shot of it. But it does seem to be missing the back piece. Not a big deal. I'm sure I can find them somewhere. Yeah, so there you can get a better shot of it there. I'm sure I can find them somewhere, and if not, that's not a big deal. If I get it working, I'll probably end up keeping it for myself anyway. But again, it's got a standard power port on there, HDMI out, as well as the standard PlayStation AV out. It does look like the hard drive is in there. I don't know if it's in good shape or not, or if it was wiped or anything, but we'll take a look. I've got some spare 2.5-inch hard drives anyway, so even if it doesn't work, we should be okay. And the last item in this box is a fat PS3, or the original one, and I do believe this is one of the initial units that has the hardware components inside for PS2 backwards compatibility. I have to do a little bit more research on that to find out for sure, but the first batches of PS3s were backwards compatible with PS1 and PS2 games, and the PS2 compatibility was hardware based. They later removed it, and I believe they went to emulation for that, or they might have even removed it altogether. It's missing that little cover there. I'm not sure what that's for. Hopefully I can pick one of those up somewhere too. I think it also has the hard drive in it. Again, I don't know. I'll have to open it up and take a look. But basically I pick up this entire hardware lot because I wanted to see if I can fix them. If I can, great, because I've never owned any of these consoles except for the Wii. So it'll be a fun little project. You can see it's a little scuffed up. I can probably polish that, but I don't know how good it'll look after. Again, standard ports, HDMI, Ethernet, multi-AV out, but this one's got a IEC connector on there, which again is fine. I've got plenty of those cables too, so should be no problem getting this thing powered up. I'll have to pick up some games for both these PS3s and controllers because I don't have those either. I'll just find some cheap one that works just so I can use it for testing purposes, and if I get it working, then maybe I can start building up a PS3 library. We'll see. And here's just a shot of all four so you can get a better look at them. I'll feature them more in their own videos in the future. And next to my pickups are a couple of games that I picked up from local game stores. First being WWF Raw for the Super Nintendo. Now I do have this for the Genesis already, but the version that I owned as a child was the Super Nintendo version, so I figured I'd pick it up. Next item that I picked up from the same store is a copy of Donkey Kong Country for the Game Boy Color. Now this is not the same as Donkey Kong Land, although it does use a modified Donkey Kong Land engine. They brought this out for the Game Boy Color, and obviously color enhanced it for the Game Boy Color. But let's go ahead and give these a try and see if they work. And of course, it's the return of my janky setup, trademark. So I've got it hooked up to the Super Retro N HD, just because I already had it set up for a different project that I was working on. So I figured I'd test it out, but I am going to be using an original SNES controller to test it. So now the audio is going to switch over to a separate microphone because I want to try to capture gameplay audio. And I get nothing on screen. Looks like it's time to clean the contacts. Yeah, it was pretty dirty here. I don't know if it's not really coming up great on camera due to some glare. Yeah, there we go. Not very clean, and the cartridge itself isn't exactly clean either. Got a little bit of grime and stuff. There's definitely some grime inside the cartridge itself and here. So this will get a proper cleaning, but hopefully this will be enough to get it working. There we go. And again, they try to recreate the video intro to the classic Raw intro, but you know, these older 16-bit consoles could not, do video really well. I mean, modern hackers and game developers have found ways to use the hardware to get it to work, but even then it's not great. But let's see if it works. Looks like it does so far. Now the sound quality is definitely improved over the Genesis version, but that's to be expected considering the Super NES has a higher quality audio output. Now I know it's controversial to say that because a lot of people do like the sounds that the Genesis produces, and I do too. But if you're looking for more realistic sounding instruments, the Super NES is going to win, so... But yeah, so this game's working. It's going to require a lot of cleaning. Not much I can do about that for now. I'll just clean it, add it to my collection, and go from there. But before we move on to the next item, as with WWF Raw, let's see if this cartridge works. This is, for all intents and purposes, using the Donkey Kong Land engine that they, just converted into a Game Boy Color cartridge. But so far it seems to be working. Doesn't look like anyone's made it that far. But the colors look really good for a Game Boy Color game. A 16-bit game ported to an 8-bit console. And it seems to work just fine. frame rate's actually much better than Donkey Kong Land was. Oops. Frame rate's actually much better. And for the next items are 3 separate items, 2 from eBay and 1 from Amazon. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look at each one. And from Amazon, I have a set of surface mount solid state capacitors that I picked up that I want to use for various different projects. Didn't have them in stock, so I figured I'd pick them up. I also picked up some surface mount electrolytic capacitors, because again, I didn't have any of these, and it would be really good to have, especially for the Game Gear that I've been working on. And also from Amazon, I got this. It's basically a makeup display shelf that I use, and a lot of people seem to use, for showing off Game Boy games and Game Gear and all of that. You can even see in the background, I already have one, but it's pretty full, so I wanted to get a larger one that had more shelves on it. This one is a DIY one. It basically is the shelves themselves. They kind of look like bleachers in a stadium. And then there's 2 separate panels that you have to screw onto the sides. But it will hold a lot more games than the one that I currently have. And since I mean, you can see I've been doubling up on some of the games just to get them to fit on there. So I wanted to get a new one and use it to be able to hold more games. And now we'll take a look at the first item from eBay from this particular purchase. Is another Game Boy. And yes, I picked one up again because I wanted to have another Game Boy to work on. The first one I ended up obviously modding, replacing the shell, the lens, the screen, everything, as you saw in that video. So I wanted to pick up another one that I can work on, hopefully in better shape. I want to try to have an original Game Boy too. Screen lens pops off on this one as well, but it doesn't look like I'm going to try to glue it back on. There is a little bit of corrosion on the battery contacts, unfortunately, so that'll have to be addressed. It is dirty, and its build is not working, so we'll test it out though, just in case, and see what's going on with it. But I'll go ahead and I'll grab a game, and we'll give it a try and see if it works. And it does not power on at all. It could be due to the corroded battery contacts. It's hard to say. Hopefully there's no corrosion or damage inside, but I'll find out when I do an official video on this in the future. And the other item I got from eBay as part of this delivery is this item here, wrapped in bubble wrap and a ton of tape. Keen-eyed viewers might be able to detect what this is, but as you can see, it's an IBM floppy disk drive. It is a Tandon disk drive, and I believe that this is the model that was used in the 5150. It might have been from a 5160, but I'm pretty sure it was from the 5150. Remember when I picked that up last month, it did not have a floppy disk drive at all, only a hard drive. So I managed to find one of these at a decent price, picked it up. I'll have to give it a once over because the tantalum capacitors on these are known to go bad. Hopefully they have not yet. It doesn't seem like anything's burnt out just yet, so that's a good sign. I don't know if the motor works or any of the other mechanical parts work. It's, I'm gonna have to find out. The belt on it though is in good shape, fortunately, so once I'm ready to do that video, we will give this floppy drive a once over. Next item is this small package from eBay. I already know what's in here, but you don't, so I'm gonna open it up to show you. And it is a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog for the Game Gear. If you remember, last month I picked up a Game Gear as part of a broken handheld lot, and it came with Sonic 2, so I figured I should probably own Sonic 1 as well. Plus, once I get one of these Game Gears working, I'll actually be able to enjoy it. But for now, it's just going to sit on my shelf as part of my collection. On to the next item. And the next items I'm going to show are from a local game store. First being LEGO Star Wars 2 for the Xbox. It's $1, and I figured it'd be a great game to use to test the Xbox that I picked up. I also picked up a third-party Duke-style controller because, again, I didn't have that either. So now I actually have something I can use to test it with. But when I was there, I also noticed this little demo disc that they had there. It's only $3, and I figured, you know what? Why not? It'd be a nice little addition to my collection if I start that. And while there, I picked up a copy of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood for the PS3. Again, I wanted to have a game that I could use to test the PS3 consoles that I got. It's only a couple of bucks, so why not? But I also picked up a copy of Grand Theft Auto 5 because I never played it, never owned it or anything, and it was complete. Manual, map, disc, everything. So I've got that now too. And these next items I'm going to show off briefly because you've already seen them in my Game Boy modding video, but just in case you missed that, I'm going to go ahead and show off the different mods that I bought for the Game Boy. And what I picked up is a replacement screen lens, glass of course, as well as some battery contacts and some rubber membranes for the buttons. And I also picked up a replacement screen. It's an IPS backlit screen. It's almost a drop-in replacement for the original. It even comes with a new board for the buttons as well as the driver for the screen. The only soldering you need to do is to solder on a speaker. Desolder the one from your old one, put it on a new one, or put a brand new speaker on it if you want as well. Came with a little mounting bracket that helps you guide the screen so you can have it centered perfectly. Otherwise, you're going to have to eyeball it and it's not going to come out right. And of course, here's the screen itself. The original version of this mod actually had a longer screen, and if you had a clear case, you would be able to see the bottom of the screen through it. This new version of the kit comes with a much smaller screen that hides much better. And this kit in general also has some extra features. I'll link the video below so you can see all of it, as well as what the final mod looks like. And of course, I had to pick up a new shell as well, since the old one was cracked and just scuffed up and everything. And this shell kit, I didn't realize it, already came with buttons, as well as membranes. Now, the buttons it came with were white, and I picked up some blue ones, because I figured it'd be a better look for it. But the membranes it came with would have worked too, but that's fine, because now I've got some extra membranes for future projects. Like I said, I'll link the video down below so you can take a look at the whole process. And the next item is from eBay, and it's not packaged very well, and I'm kind of upset about that. There was no padding or anything. I mean, the envelope itself, bag, whatever, no padding, and this paper wrap is not going to provide much protection either. Fortunately, what's inside did not get damaged, so that's good. At least physically. I don't know if there was any other potential damage from it, but as you can see, I picked up another Game Gear. In the event that the first Game Gear I got doesn't work out for whatever reason, I'm hoping that this one will. If you remember the video from last week, the capacitors were already replaced, but wasn't a very good job, unfortunately, and it ultimately led to me tearing out the traces on the soundboard. So, picked up another one so we can take a look at it. Hopefully this one was not touched at all. This one does seem to be a little bit more complete. It's got a cover and expansion port. It came with a lanyard. It came with both battery covers, and they seem to be in good shape. Basically, they don't look like they're corroded at all, which is a good thing, unlike the last one. But it was also listed as not working, and I figured, you know what, I'll take a chance on it anyway. At the very least, we'll try it and see if it works or not. We'll use Sonic the Hedgehog that I picked up earlier in this video, and yes, I have all new batteries, all the same brand. I'm not going to be mixing them anymore if I can help it, so let's go ahead and get the batteries in there, get the game in, and see if this works or not. Alright, so let's turn it on, and unfortunately, power light comes on and then it shuts off. The screen also comes on and it goes off. That to me suggests that it's probably a bad capacitor or multiple capacitors, but it does not work, unfortunately. But that's maybe a good thing just because of the fact that it probably means the capacitors were not replaced. It's going to give me the opportunity to do it myself. So this way, if I screw up, it's 100% my fault. I can't blame it on anyone else because it wasn't worked on at all. So, but we'll go ahead and I'll do another video on this one, probably sometime after the previous Game Gear video. But yeah, that's it for January. As I said, there's a lot of things in there. Anything that stands out that you like, go ahead and leave a comment below. Otherwise, if you like the video, hit the thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe, but there is never any obligation to do so. I appreciate it. And if you didn't like the video, go ahead and leave a thumbs down, but please also comment below as to why, so I can use that to help improve things going forward. Thanks all, and I'll catch you later.